this video, we will talk about how to find the common ratio in a geometric sequence. So I have a few examples for us to work through here. Let's check out the first one. We have the sequence 2, 6, 18, and 54. To find the common ratio for this sequence, we can pick any number in the sequence and simply divide it by the previous number. So let's say we pick the number 6. To figure out the common ratio, we simply need to divide the 6 by the previous number of 2. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. That's the common ratio. And it turns out that it works for any number that we want to pick in the sequence. So for example, if we instead picked 18, we could divide that by the previous number of 6. So 18 divided by 6, that's also 3. Or even if we pick this last one of 54, if we divide 54 by the previous number in the sequence, 54 divided by 18, that's also 3. So the common ratio is 3. And if we want to double check ourselves, we can verify that 3 is the correct number because we can say, let's take any number in the sequence. If we multiply it by 3, do we get the next number? So if we do 2 times 3, do we get 6? Yeah, we do. 2 times 3 is 6. And if we take 6, if we multiply that by 3, do we get 18? Yeah, 6 times 3 is 18. So that's a way to double check ourselves. So the common ratio in this sequence is 3. Okay, let's try another example. Let's say we have the series 144, negative 12, 1, and negative 1/12. How can we find the common ratio? Well, once again, we can just pick any number we want in the series and divide it by the previous number. So let's say we pick negative 12, and we divide that by the previous number of 144. Negative 12 divided by 144, that's the common ratio. And if we want, we can simplify it, or we can reduce it by saying how many 12s actually go into 144. Well, 12. So we could cross this out, make this a 1, cross this out, and make it a 12. So this reduces to negative 1/12. And once again, we'll find that if we pick any number in the series and divide it by the previous number, we'll always get negative 1/12. So for example, suppose we picked 1 instead. If we did 1 divided by the previous number of negative 12, we would get 1 divided by negative 12, or negative 1/12. And that holds for every value in the series. So the common ratio is negative 1/12. All right, let's try one more example. Let's say we have negative 8, negative 2, negative 1/2, and negative 1/8. What is the common ratio in this series? Well, once again, let's pick any number we want and divide it by the previous number in the series. So if we pick negative 2 and we divide it by the previous number of negative 8, we get negative 2 divided by negative 8. A negative divided by a negative is positive, so this reduces to 2/8, which can be reduced to 1/4. So the common ratio is 1/4. And again, we could have picked any number that we wanted in the series and simply divided by the previous number. So let's say we picked negative 1/2 and we divided that by 2. So we'd have negative 1/2 divided by, we'll say, negative 2 over 1. And remember, when we divide by a fraction, that's the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. So when we flip the numerator and the denominator. So we could write this as negative 1/2 times negative 1/2. And when we perform this multiplication, a negative times a negative is a positive. So we get 1 in the numerator, and a 2 times 2 in the denominator is 4. So we get 1/4 once again. So no matter what terms we pick, we will always find that the common ratio for this particular sequence is 1/4.